We have a bunch of current students here. And so first, we're just going to introduce ourselves and talk a little bit about ourselves, and then we'll open it up for some questions from you all. So feel free to start typing some questions in the chat. But first I can introduce myself and then we'll kind of go down the line. So my name is Sydney. I use she, her pronouns. I am a senior and I'm originally from the DC area, majoring in organismal biology on the pre-vet track.
Hi everyone, my name is Bella. I use she, her pronouns. I am a first year at Scripps College. I am from South Burlington, Vermont, and my majors, I'm doing a dual major in Spanish and Portuguese and psychology.
Hi, my name is Reina. I use she, her, AS pronouns. I'm from Los Angeles / Rosamond, and I'm a first year here at Scripps, and I'm planning on dual majoring in politics and Chicanx Latinx studies.
And my name's Lucia. I use she, her pronouns. I am a sophomore at Scripps. I'm from Kansas City, the Kansas City metro area, and I'm majoring in environmental analysis, the race, class, and gender track. And I also am minoring in Chicanx Latinx studies.
Hi, everyone. I'm Taylor. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a third year and I'm from the Phoenix area in Arizona. I'm a theater major and then I'm minoring in foreign languages, specifically Arabic and Greek.
Awesome. Thank you all for sharing. So again, you guys can comment some questions in the chat for us to answer, but first maybe we can go around and talk about what our high school experiences were like and if that is similar or different to our Scripps experience. So for me, my high school was a private PWI, so yeah, I think it was similar to Scripps in that way. But my school was co-ed, so coming to a historically women's college was a little bit different, but we are in a co-ed consortium, so. Yeah.
I would say that my experience in high school was very, very different from Scripps. I went to a charter public school in Los Angeles, and it was a majority Hispanic school. So I wasn't like really used to being in a predominantly white institution, just because like I feel like it's very different being surrounded growing up with majority of like your own race, versus when you like come here and it's like very different. I think it was like a big culture shock for me. I feel like Scripps to me still seems very big, just because my high school was like really, really tiny. So I feel like those are like majority of like the big differences that I see.
My high school was also a charter public school. It was a PWI and it was extremely small too. So I think that was a big difference between like my class was like 60 people. So
I went to a state public, I went to a public high school. It wasn't a PW, it might have been a PWI. It was what my English teacher told me was that our demographics like matched up really well with like the United States demographics. So we were fairly diverse. And it was very much like everyone was planning on going to the state schools. So going out of state was really weird. Like everyone I know mostly went to like Kansas University, like K-State, KU. So I'm definitely like I was one of the odd ones out going to like a private liberal arts college, especially like out of state as well. So it's been very odd because I keep hearing like my friends being like, oh, I know that person from high school. I don't know anyone here from my high school.
I was gonna say I had a very similar experience. Vermont's like a PWI, but it's like all the way like northeast, and everyone would like stay in our hometown or just like stay on the East Coast. So it was very like strange to see that I like moved all the way out west, and I literally don't know anybody here, and it was definitely a big of a pretty big culture shock, not in the sense of a PWI, since I've already attended a PWI high school, but in the sense of like, I feel like East Coast can be pretty different from the West Coast.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so a lot of different experiences. I forgot to mention, yeah, my school is pretty small too. My graduating class was like 81. So Scripps definitely felt bigger to me, at least. So I guess if there aren't any questions just yet, maybe you all can talk about how you found community at Scripps and what that kind of looks like for you. And anybody can start.
I was gonna say, for me, I came here as a part of the first gen program that we do here at Scripps. But I did it like a week before school, and I would say that's where I really built like my solid friendships, and like I met one of my best friends there. And I think that being able to have like community of like other people who are in similar experiences as you, either that being like BIPOC or like disabled or like first gen or low income, like I feel like that really brought us all together. And I think that's like, if you get the chance to do it, I really, really recommend doing the first gen program here. Yeah.
I would second that. I also met most of my close friends through the first gen program. I also came early for a STEM program called SIP, and that's a 5C thing, yeah, where 5C students who are underrepresented in the STEM fields can come early to check out the colleges and kind of like explore what it's like to do STEM at them. So yeah, that's where I also met most of my good friends too.
I want to third the first gen just because I feel like it was like very impactful to like know that there's other students at Scripps that also like follow under the categories of like being first gen, being low income, or like having similar experience. But also for me, it was also Ideas, which is the 5C undocumented club. I feel like I really like resonated with like a lot of students there just because they also have like similar backgrounds and like resources that I can use off of. And I like found it like really good, like being able to like find interest with like people who also like came back from like the same background as me.
Yeah, for me, I also did the science program. I did SIP, and then I like came back to be a mentor a couple years. I also was a mentee and a mentor for OBSA, Office of Black Student Affairs. And so you get paired up with an upperclassman, and they kind of like hang out with you and some other first year students who also identify as Black. There's like a orientation thing, like bonding trip in the beginning of the year, which was really, really nice. And I met some of my closest friends through that and SIP.
Sorry, I was gonna jump in and say too that I along doing like the first couple of weeks like orientations and like all those activities, I also really recommend like doing clubs or like outside activities, because especially as like 5Cs as a whole has really good like clubs that like go across like different colleges and stuff. Like for example, Raina and I are in the Claremont College's ballroom dance company, and it's been like that experience as a whole has really been like life-changing in the sense that I've met other people like who are interested in the same thing as me, and like we all like, yeah. I was gonna say something else, but I forgot. But yeah, basically I definitely recommend like joining clubs and like doing extracurriculars, or just like going to events, because that's where I found a lot of people and like a lot of sense of community is in the things outside of school, or like, yeah, things outside of like just being in the classroom.
I want to add on to that. On that note, I work for the student newspaper, and I think that's personally like, I think it's a really great community experience for me, because it's kind of got like jobs that like anyone can kind of sign up. Like I do graphics, I don't like write or anything. Like I don't know about like news, but I met a like ton of different like types of people there that I think is really cool, and I'm advertising it as well because we need more freshmen to join. Because you have to like apply before you get to campus, I think technically. but yeah, definitely off campus, not off campus, but like 5C wide organizations, clubs are always, you have a lot of resources at your disposal to meet new people.
All right, it looks like we have some questions in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for answering that question. So first we have a question about other student resources that are similar with the mentor-mentee program for other like groups. If anyone knows about any of those.
I was gonna say we for Latinx people, we also have a mentor-mentee program. I'm not sure if I don't know if it's through Café con Leche or what it is exactly. But I know that at least for like Latinos too, we also have a similar thing where you get paired up with an upperclassman and like you guys like do little cute activities together and like they talk to you and like give you advice or anything like that.
I also know there's one through the Queer Resource Center, which is located at Pomona, but it's for the whole 5Cs. They also have a mentor-mentee program that you can get matched up with and just like meet people or hang out with them.
Yeah, I think also at Scripps specifically, there's Asian American Sponsor Group, which is the same thing for Asian American students. Yeah, so lots of different programs and also with like different interests as well. Some clubs will have like a mentorship program as well, like with the science program. So there's lots of different ways that you can be involved with upperclassmen and kind of get advice and have a smooth transition into college. So that's awesome. So we have another question for our, I guess all of us are out of state, so, or most of us are. So is it hard for you all to be away from college, from family when you're in college out of state?
I was gonna say I definitely struggled a lot with being away from home, especially since I'm like on the northeast side of the country, or like my family's on the northeast side of the country. It was definitely difficult, especially in the first semester, but what I found really helped me was those like events and the community that we found like within each other with like the first gen program and ballroom dance and like Café con Leche, which is like a Latino club on campus that I definitely recommend checking out. And I just, when I did feel homesick, I just reached out to like friends and like talked about it, or I would go out and like do on campus activities to kind of help me like take my mind off of it. But at least for me, I definitely see that it's gotten easier once I like kind of get more settled into college and like, you know, yeah.
As a fellow East Coaster, like I feel like I felt that, but also in my college process, I wanted to be away from home. So I was just kind of already mentally prepared for that. I like definitely got a little homesick my first year. Lately, it hasn't been as much. I like keep in contact with my mom and like friends from home and things like that. I do miss my mom's cooking, but that's the main thing. Just like being able to hug her, but I don't feel like extremely homesick all the time. Great. So we have a question about orientation programs and when they happen and what are the activities that are offered. Does anybody want to start?
I can talk a little bit about the first gen program. So I work at SCORE, which is the Scripps kind of like center that houses all the affinity groups and resources and stuff like that. And so first gen is based on there or out of there. And we host, it's basically a week before everybody else arrives. If you identify as first gen, you can come if you want to. It's not like a requirement, but I would highly recommend it. And basically we kind of just, all the freshmen who are first gen get to like create a community together, and you can learn about all the different resources. You know, we do tours around the school and have like different admin come and talk to the students so that you can kind of get like a sense of stability before the overwhelming rush of all the other students coming to campus. So yeah, that's kind of what we do. And then we also do like fun activities too, stuff.
Yeah, for us in the sciences, we also come a week early. And it's a lot of like just practice with lab stuff, getting to know some professors, getting to know the curriculum, and like making sure that like you feel comfortable, even though you're like an underrepresented person and you like potentially will be in the minority in most of your classes. Just like kind of gaining skills, but also we did a lot of fun activities and field trips and things like that to just connect with other science students who are underrepresented in STEM. Yes, Leanne also wants to note that our international community also comes early. So if you're an international student, they also come a week early before orientation. So
I also just want to, oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, go on. Yeah, sorry.
I just wanted to add on, if you're interested in doing the STEM one, SIP, and like either the international or first gen one, that's possible because the STEM one arrives a bit earlier. So they time it so that you could do both if you want.
Great thing to know. Thank you, Taylor. All right, so we have a question asking if there's a sort of culture fair on campus or at the 5 Cs. I'm not too sure what you mean, like in terms of the like identity-based affinity clubs and such. I don't think we have one. I think we did last year though. Scripps, all of the score clubs like got on the lawn and were they had tables and signups and things like that. But I don't believe it's like a 5C thing. I know at the beginning of the year, OBSA and CLSA, and I assume some of the other groups will do open houses and maybe like a welcome back event, but not like all together across the schools. Does anyone else want to like add anything? Cool. All right, I got a question, and we can, I guess, throw this out to everybody, anybody who wants to answer. What are your favorite and least favorite things about Scripps? I know it's a hard one, so I'll give you all a minute to think about it.
I kind of have like a love-hate relationship with the campus itself, just because it's really beautiful and I love studying here and I love like going to the Motley or like Seal Court or like laying on the lawn when it's nice and warm out and things like that. But it also is really difficult to get off of campus sometimes, especially if you don't have a car, which I don't have a car. So like I love being here, but sometimes I feel like I can't go out as much as I'd like to. I can take the Metrolink, I can do things like that, but you really have to like plan in advance in order to like, oh, I'm going to take the Metrolink today, or like I'm going to schedule like in like all these bus rides to get to the beach today. So it's like, it takes a lot of effort to get off of campus.
I think for me, my favorite part is the community that I've built here. Also, like the campus is just beautiful. I love the like Southern California vibes. Yesterday I went to the pool and that was really, it's always a great time. My least favorite thing has nothing to do with that at all. It's more so I wish there was more diversity in the faculty. That's always been my main complaint here. They are doing a student of color, or a faculty of color and student of color mixer this week, I believe. So that's the first time I've seen that. So that's a great step in the right direction, but I wish that there was more diversity in the faculty, especially tenured faculty at Scripps.
I can't really think of something I don't like, but what I really do like is that I really like that I can connect with like my peers and like the professors like really closely, rather than like my other friends from like other schools that like let's say I have a friend at USC. She said that it's like really harder to connect with her professors because of like the class range and how like big it is. So I would like really appreciate how like the classes are like smaller.
All right, great. Yeah. Thank you all for your input. Definitely a range, both like good and bad, but it's important to talk about that. So thank you for your question. Um, so our next question kind of talks more about the lack of diversity and if that negatively contributes to like our social and academic experience at Scripps. And yeah, if you have any like personal experiences that you would like to share, then you can. You absolutely don't have to if you don't want to. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, it definitely can be tough, especially being a BIPOC student at the five C's, just because sometimes it may feel a little bit isolating, but I think the most important thing, like knowing, like, especially as for people who haven't been at PWI, like I have, so I wasn't too shocked when I came here, but I think the most important thing is that knowing that you have like resources and you have like communities available to you at your disposal, like the first gen program, the Café con Leche Club, or like different events like the mixers that we will be doing in the like upcoming years and stuff. But I just like want you to know that like you deserve to be here and like you work hard to be here and you have the resources at your disposal, and it may feel isolating, and that's totally valid. I felt that too, but like at the end of the day, you have all these people who love you and all of these resources, and I just hope you don't let that scare you away, you know.
Very, very well said. I would also like kind of jump on that and say like I felt a little bit of imposter syndrome at different points in my time here. Like sometimes I just have felt like everybody else is on top of everything, but like in talking with friends and peers and professors, like nobody knows what they're doing all the time. Like I don't have to be the best person in the class. I shouldn't even worry about what everybody else is doing because I'm here for a reason. I'm doing well. I'm about to graduate, so clearly I've done something right. So just like having that internal validation, but also finding people that will support you in those times when you don't feel as like strong or motivated.
I think for me, there's a few, being in an environmental analysis major, I often find myself in classrooms that are very white. So sometimes it's not like, sometimes like in classrooms, I'm a little like, I don't know what better word to use than like disappointed that I'm not like hearing all the perspectives that I'd like to hear. Especially like other like Chicana or like people from the Latino community on campus. So it's just kind of, for me, it's kind of just like oh, I wish this was this way. I wish I could like talk to people about this. There are like students that are in my classes. Like I have a friend named Danny who's in one of my EA classes that we like, like you know the type of friend that like you'll lock eyes with like during like a specific class discussion. You'll be like, that was something crazy, something someone said. Like that's us. So I think for me, it's just like finding those people in different spaces and like really connecting with them.
Yeah, thank you all for your input. We have a question about Dive, which is super exciting. If you all are coming to Dive, I am a Dive alum myself, and I'll also be around during that time. So you'll be seeing me. But yeah, can anybody first of all, like, did anybody here do Dive? Oh, awesome. Okay. Would you guys like to share a little bit about your experience and like how that was for you?
I did Dive last year, and it's been one of the best experiences that I've done. Like this is one of those things that I definitely really encourage y'all to do alongside the first gen program, because you just really get a feel of the campus and like meet other folks like you who aren't already studying here. And I also just met other students who are also admitted that I'm still friends with to this day, like Raina and I met at Dive. But overall, it's just a really nice experience to be able to get kind of like a small peek into what my life will potentially be at Scripps and like the surrounding area. Like I know the last day, I don't know if I think you're still doing this, like going into LA. For us, we went to like the little farmers market and like the Grove, and it was really, really nice to be able to kind of get a feel of like what living in Southern California will be. And yeah, and just getting to know people. But I definitely recommend you do it if you can.
I really enjoyed going to Dive, one because I met like one of my bestest friends, Bella, but also because I was able to like come to Scripps because, well, I like my school was like really near Scripps. It's like a 30-minute drive, but I've like never been to Scripps until I came with Dive, and I was already an ED1 student. Even I was like already committed, but I think it was like really nice coming to see Scripps like in person and like falling in love with the campus and like being able to like talk to other BIPOC students with like similar backgrounds and to see like what they were also like dealing with. And I think it was just like really nice to also like connect with other students and like meet students like at this admitted students day that like come from the East Coast, since I've been in California my whole life. So it's also like not talking to people who like were from the East Coast.
Yeah, I really love Dive. I also did Discover, the flying program in the fall. So I had a bunch of people in my Dive group that also were there in Discover. So it was really nice to see them again as admitted students. And I think the part to me that is always the most impactful, my favorite part of the week, is when you get to talk to a bunch of current students of color from the different score clubs, but also just students of color around. You can literally just walk up to people and ask them questions, hang out. There's a lot of connection with the community. And it really just, like people were saying, like it gives you a window into what Scripps is like for a student of color. And you get to ask all your questions and kind of experience campus in person. So it's definitely really awesome. Yeah, thank you for your reflections back in time. All right, so now we have a question about academic workload and what that's like. I know we're all different majors, which is super cool because then we get a different range of experiences. So what are you all's workloads like this semester or just in general?
I was gonna say, I think I just want to preface this by saying like it really, really depends on the major, and just like your idea of like a lot of work might be different than someone else's idea of a lot of work. So like I feel like you should just y'all take this with like a grain of salt and don't like let it scare you or anything, because like either way I still think you guys are more than capable of like doing anything you set your mind to. That being said, since I am a dual major, I'm doing psychology and foreign languages. I've thankfully been able to say the workload is not crazy. For me, I see that it kind of ramps up around like midterms and finals, but like aside from that, I have like just readings and like just like worksheets most of the time. But so for me, I wouldn't say it's the craziest workload. It's just I think it's a matter of like being able to have like good time management and like find like maybe a good study group and like have a good time to kind of sit down and do homework. But as long as you kind of have a good schedule, if that works for you, that's also may just not work for you. But if it does, that's what's worked for me, having like a good schedule to do like, oh, on Tuesday, I'm just going to do my, I don't know, Spanish homework. And then on Friday, I'm going to do my Portuguese homework. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah.
I just want to second that. Yeah, it really depends on your major. I went through a couple different majors and all the homework looked different. So right now for like theater and languages for me is definitely like a daily thing. You gotta, have like a worksheet. I think that languages, the homeworks are smaller chunks, but like more consistent chunks, where theater is the opposite, where there's like much longer projects and they're like atypical projects, like working on a monologue or creating a scenic design box. So it's not quite, you have to manage your time more with that. So it's not like you have to do like a lot of readings, like in a philosophy major or something like that. But yeah, I also just want to second that, just try to find a system that works for you. And also that there's like resources and friends that you can reach out to see like different ways to do things. Also talk to your professors too, if you feel like you're really struggling with the workload, because they can just like help you out or maybe have some like ideas or tips for you.
I would like really highlight the professor part because like coming into Scripps, I thought that professors were like really intimidating and that like they were out to get me, but it's like really the opposite. Like professors are like so sweet. Like they're very understanding if you like communicate and like tell them like why you're having trouble. Like they're like more than happy to like help you out or even study with you. Like I literally just talked to my professor like probably like an hour ago and she was like, "Oh, if you like want to study before like the final like later on in the semester, like feel free to like come and now like even help you study." And I just think like well, as like a politics major and economics study, I feel like the reading can be like a little like tough to read, but and I really like that in class, like you break it down and like you discuss with other students. And I feel like building like relationship with like your peers and like your professors is like really important because it just like makes everything so much simpler. Like you're able to like study with other people. Like even if you're lost, like they might be lost as well. And like it's like really nice to like connect with other students, like make sure you're like all on the same page.
Yeah, I want to second that as well because like especially coming from like a public high school, teachers like don't have time for you after school when you're in high school. They'd like you try to come and they're like, "I'm too busy, not right now." Like you try to talk to them during lunch, they're like, "This is my only time to eat. I can't talk." But truly college professors are like, "Please come talk to me." Like they get lonely in office hours. They want you to come. I had a chem professor that was like, "Can someone please visit me?" Like, I want to help you guys, but it's really lonely. So they truly do like, they want you to reach out. They want you to send them emails. They want like your question. I mean, like sometimes they won't respond to emails, but most of the time they will like, they want to hear from you. They want to help you. They want you to succeed. So definitely balancing the workload, asking a professor can help, but like, yeah, depends on the major.
Yeah, I'd say in the sciences, the workload for me has varied. So some of my classes have just had like weekly problem sets that you just turn in at the end of the week. My classes now now that I'm in like upper division courses, it's more like outside bigger projects, but I haven't had as much like take home homework. It's just like constant things that we work on in class and a little bit outside. Definitely a lot of like studying, like active studying throughout the week. So even if I don't have homework, I should like be reviewing my notes and making sure everything looks good. The work can definitely, we're tested a lot more frequently in the sciences. I think it's about every 4 to 5 weeks we have an exam. So like always keeping that in the front of your mind. Even when there's like a little down period, like I just know it's coming up. So that's also why I recommend staying on top of work. I also take some humanities classes, and ironically, one of my humanities classes has been giving me the most homework out of my entire semester, more than my science classes. So that's a funny little one there. But yeah, it just depends on the courses you're taking and your major. But for me, it's been pretty manageable. And I've like come up with systems that work for me. So whatever works for you, that's what's going to help you out. Awesome. So now here is, we got a question that is one of my favorite questions ever. Why did we choose Scripps? So yeah, we can kind of go around and share.
I can go first. Oh, Bella, do you want to go? Okay. So why did I choose Scripps? I think there's like a lot of factors that went into it, as with like big decisions like this. I really liked how Scripps had this like small community. I definitely didn't want to go to like a huge university, especially because my high school was so small. I didn't want like that big of a difference. And I knew I also thrived if I was like had like profs that were like open to like talking to them and like communicating on a daily basis with them. So I really liked that smallness, but I also liked how there's the 5 C's. So you have a lot more opportunities to just do anything. There's like more classes you can take. There's more clubs. There's more events and scholarships or whatever you can apply to. So I really liked that. I think that's, yeah. Sometimes like if you go, like I'm a theater major and that's actually not offered at Scripps. It's technically a Pomona major. So I'm still going to be graduating from Scripps, but I'm taking all my classes at Pomona. So that's just like one example of how like Scripps itself might not offer it, but the 5 C's do. So that's really cool. Also, like I think another big thing to consider is just financial aid. Scripps gave me good financial aid. And so that was just my personal case. So that's always something to think about, that, you know, sometimes you have to balance like kind of those reality situations with also like what you want in a school. But that being said, I think they lined up really well for me.
I was just gonna hop right on, in that's a lot of what went into my decision was like financial aid. Like I was like weighing it against like other schools, and like it turned out I could like afford this one more than I could afford like other schools, but it like worked out well because I really am happy with my choice to be here at Scripps. But yeah, I knew I kind of wanted to go somewhere a little more diverse, even though I am technically at a PWI. Like I wanted to be in like California or like Florida or like somewhere a little more diverse, just surrounding it, because I want to work with like immigrant families and stuff like that. So I think it like really depends on like what kind of like career you want to go into. And like for me, like being a foreign language major and stuff like that, it worked out really well to be in California. And like Scripps offers like a lot of really good resources and like aid with like people who are foreign language majors or like psych majors, and there's just like really good like networking here. So that like really helped my decision in coming here to Scripps. And overall, I just really liked how small Scripps in general is, because I wanted to have that more meaningful relationship with teachers and peers like Taylor and Raina were talking about. But I also liked the fact that it, like, if you want to go bigger, you have the whole consortium, which is like a few thousand people like all together. Yeah.
I kind of want to like to stay, like Taylor said, like to stay within like the small school, since I came from a small school. But I also like wanted to be in California, since I've like grew up in California my whole life. I like wanted to stay like close to home. But also I really like that the classes were like so small, and like I feel like I would have had a harder time if I went to a bigger school with like bigger amounts of like students in classrooms. So I feel like being in small classrooms, I can get like one-on-one with teachers and like be more prepared for class, rather than if I went to a bigger school.
Yeah, also same thing for me. I when I came, my family managed to come to visit. We toured Pomona, we toured Scripps, and we also toured UCLA. Just to be like, oh, let's like, there's a bunch of options here. Let's like see what's like while we're here. And UCLA was terrifying. It felt like a small city. It was crazy. There were so many people. I got like really anxious. I was like, there's too many people in this one spot. But I felt really comfortable when I was at like the 5 C's when I was touring them. Because it was like, it was very beautiful. They're like people, but it wasn't like crazy. Yeah, so it was that definitely. It's like Scripps is about the same population. I actually think my high school population is bigger than Scripps. But I wanted it to be like a small school where I would know people, where I could like see people and like wave. Because I really like that. Yeah, and the campus was beautiful, and there's a lot of other reasons, but
Yeah, I fell in love with Scripps for a lot of the same reasons that you all shared. Definitely like coming from a smaller school, I didn't want to go to a big school. I had toured my state school, and like I was so scared because like even just one side of campus was huge. And I just felt like I was going to be swallowed up, and I did not want that for college. And I'm really happy that I've like come to a smaller school because the classroom sizes, I can like get to know people in my class. We can have more meaningful discussions. I can connect with professors. I feel very comfortable reaching out to them because they're spending 15 weeks with me and getting to know me in a smaller setting. Also, like as a woman in STEM, like coming to a historically women's college, that was really important for me too. I applied to some other ones, but I think that for like with Scripps, I think the consortium made it stand out because I can still have like women's college environment while still having like a co-ed consortium and like more resources available. So it just felt like a natural choice for me. Yeah, thank you. We have a question about diversity in the in the area surrounding campus, so like Claremont Village area. Does anyone want to speak to that?
I can. Claremont, like the village itself, is in a pretty like wealthy area. So there's not a ton of diversity like in walking distance of the campus. But one way I get off campus and into like more diverse areas is I work for Harvey Mudd's Upward Bound tutoring program. So every Thursday, on Saturdays, the students come to us on campus, but on Thursdays, we drive out to them. I go to Bassett High School, but it's in it's predominantly like Latinx area. And I hang out and tutor some high schoolers and like, teach them like study skills and things like that. And it's really nice. I like it a lot, like talking to like the kid that I used to be. So yeah, if you can find ways to get off campus and like find diverse programs that you can do, I would definitely go for it.
Thanks for sharing. So we have a little bit of time left. So like you all in the audience can feel free to ask us some more questions. But I was wondering to the panel, what do you think like admitted students should know about Scripps before coming here, either from like the BIPOC first gen experience or just like any advice that you would have to admitted diverse students?
I think one piece of advice for me is that if you end up coming here, which we would love to see you here on campus, is just kind of take advantage of all the resources and opportunities that we have here. I think that like at first, when I first got here to Scripps, I was a little bit like scared and like intimidated to kind of say yes or like kind of reach out and like take up space. And I just want to like validate that it's okay to feel a little bit small, especially in like your first year of college. Everything's like really new and scary, especially in PWI. But I just want to say like take up your space. You deserve to be here, and like you deserve to take advantage of like resources and like things happening on campus. And I just don't get scared away by that or like swayed too much by that. No matter how intimidating it seems, I promise it's you'll find like a place here, and it like the community here is just really welcoming and like we're really open arms, I think. And yeah, just kind of take up your space. You deserve to be here, and like we would love to see you on campus.
Yeah, I want to second all that. Beautifully said. I totally agree. I think it really helps to like find your people for those moments that you're like, I don't feel like I can advocate for myself, or I am feeling small. It's good to have your people. I think also for me is that, going into college, I was like, I want to do everything. I want to take all the classes and all the clubs and all the jobs, which is just not possible. So like also be mindful of like your mental health and like, no, you have to rest. Like this is a really big transition in your life, and just like, so keep that in mind. And sometimes you will have to say no to things so that you can make room to have energy to do the things you want to do. But that being said, don't be afraid to try something new, but just make sure you're like checking in with yourself.
I think my piece of advice would be to like tap into your communities early, like find the people and just like, I don't know, the sooner the better. I think also first year, like people are still like finding their groups. So like people are really open to like meeting you and hanging out. So don't close yourself off to people too soon. There's so many amazing people that I've met here and continue to meet, like even as a second semester senior, like so like keeping yourself open, that would be my biggest piece of advice.
I also think for me personally, when I got on campus, it was kind of difficult. It's a weird shift because usually like in high school, everyone is telling you what to do. And then when you get to campus, no one's in charge of you. So it's kind of hard to like figure out, like you have to take a lot more initiative than you expect. Like you have to find the affinity clubs and you have to like plan your schedule, and you're the one that like has to like, you know, develop these study skills. So I think kind of like keeping that in mind and being like, okay, like I'm in charge now. Like no one's gonna tell me what to do. No one's gonna swoop in and be like, whoa, 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 it's up to you. Which is really cool, but also really scary. So I would definitely say like take those when you first get to campus, like keep that in mind, and then like just be kind to yourself. Like you should take initiative, but like don't go crazy.
I would say that it's okay to like not know. Like when I got here, I feel like I had to know everything. Like I feel like I had to constantly like be like, oh my God, why don't I know this? And I think it was like hard for myself to like kind of reassure myself that it's okay to like not know sometimes, because like other people are also struggling. And like I feel like just like take up your space here, like um take care of your like mental health. Like I feel like especially like coming from like high school, like having to like constantly think, oh, I have to get good grades, and then like coming to college and it's like not the same, but also like you have to like know that it's okay, like it's gonna be okay, like it's not the end of the world. Like you have to like also like learn to like self-love. I feel like that's really important coming to college, like because like coming in a new area, in a new space, like you have to like learn to how to take care of yourself and like your mental health.
Yeah, that is all really, really great advice. So I guess for our final question before we close today, I kind of want to know, and I know for some of you this is like a lot far out, but do you think that Scripps has prepared you for like the world outside, and like what skills do you feel like you can take this any way you want, but do you feel like prepared and like more, I don't know, just like prepared as a person, or like have you grown? Maybe that's a better way to phrase it. Like how have you grown?
I was gonna say I definitely don't by any means feel prepared to go into the world quite yet. But I definitely can see that I've grown and like changed as a person in really good ways. I think Scripps, like Raina was saying, it kind of, or was it Raina? I don't know. I'm so sorry. But you kind of have to like take initiative and kind of like start like figuring out what works for you and like learning what who you are as a person and like what the kind of people you want to be around and like what you want to even do with the rest of your freaking life. And I think just all of that kind of really has helped me get a good, like a better sense of self and kind of a better sense of worth. And like just overall, I've developed a lot of like critical thinking skills and like time management and study habits. So I definitely think I've grown a lot, and I definitely see that Scripps is going to continue helping me grow and become better as a person and like become, I'm sure in a couple of years, way off into the future, I'll be ready as a senior to graduate and go into the world with like the title I used to have, you know?
Kind of bouncing like back from that, I feel like I'm still a first year, so I haven't like grown like by a lot, but I can definitely like see smaller changes. Like, well, when I came here, I was like super shy and I was really scared to like ask for help. But now, like, like almost 1 year in, I definitely see the change. Like, I am starting to like advocate for myself, whether that's like like academically or socially. Like I've been like advocating for myself in like different aspects, which I would like not have done at all like prior to like coming to Scripps. But I think like that's one of like the biggest changes that I've seen, and it's like super helpful because then like you're just able to like reassure yourself in like different ways.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I've definitely felt myself become more confident and like Raina was saying, like advocate for myself and also just like not be afraid to reach out for help and not be afraid to like fail, honestly. Like I feel like some of my um moments where I had the most growth was where like things didn't turn out great, but like I learned something from them and I had like new skills to go forward and I have some more like grit, I guess. But definitely I feel more confident as a person since like my first year.
Yeah, I would echo what everybody's saying. Yeah, definitely. I think I've grown to become a more confident person and just be able to advocate for myself. And like Sydney was saying, I think failure is also really great, especially in high school. You kind of have the mindset like, oh, in order to get to college, I have to be perfect. But like this is like the place that you could finally just take a breather and figure out who you are in a way. So like a lot of it has been me figuring out what I want to do with my life and not necessarily what I think would look good on a transcript. Or like what my parents would necessarily want from me. So yeah, I think just about like creating your own person in whatever way that looks for you.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think especially with different classes and different extracurriculars, especially as well, I think it's like helping me kind of figure out like, oh, this is really cool and I want to keep, if I can do this in a professional sense, like I totally want to do that. So like the tutoring thing, I'm really enjoying working as a tutor, which is kind of like making me switch gears and probably not majoring, but in like career development, like, oh, if I really enjoy the education sector, maybe I should like figure out something like that. Which I don't know. It was a really cool space for me to figure that out. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Just like across this panel, thank you so much for being here and sharing your experiences. We're just gonna wrap for today. And thank you so much to you all for joining us on the audience. So thank you. And we hope to see you at future programming.